Tonight, a case of deja vu.
It's scary how it keeps happening. And I would have assumed they've fixed most of the problems by now.
Another fire hits the high-rise building at 650 Parliament, almost a year after the last one forced everyone out.
I'd never seen something like this.
Captured on camera, a dump truck appears to keep going after crashing into a car. This video is raising a lot of questions about the fatal crash. And could plans for a St. Lawrence market makeover result in rent increases? Vendors are airing their concerns. Good evening, I'm Magda Gebrselassie. Well, another year and another fire at 650 Parliament Street. Last August, residents were forced out of the building and into temporary homes after a major fire. Then today, fire crews were called to the empty high-rise once again. But as Ali Chiasson reports, the timeline for getting people back into their homes isn't expected to change.
It reminds me of when the fire happened August 21st last year.
650 Parliament.
Same thing happening again, pretty much.
Only this time, the apartment building is vacant. It's 1,500 residents who were displaced from last year's electrical fire watch the smoke billow from a distance.
We received this call around 8 o'clock this morning. The electrical contractors noticed smoke on the 15th floor, pulled the alarm between them and security, ensured everybody was out of the building when Toronto Fire arrived on scene. The actual fire unit was heavily damaged. There was a lot of fire load in that unit. Actually burnt the door off of the unit.
In the last 10 months, residents have since found other places to live, even if that means moving in with family or friends. For those hoping to return to 650 Parliament anytime soon, today was
not great news to wake up to.
I'm told that this fire shouldn't represent any kind of a setback, and that actually we're getting much, much closer to the day when people can move back in. And I'm optimistic that's going to happen sooner than later.
Danny Roth, the spokesperson for the property management company, Wellesley Parliament Square, spoke to us this morning over the phone.
This building will only be reoccupied when it is demonstrated that it is safe for habitation.
That reoccupancy date has been pushed back by months at a time as the repair work continues. Roth says a class action lawsuit filed against the property manager on behalf of the residents could drag this out because it's preventing workers from going inside the units and touching their belongings.
We have evidence and affidavits from our senior construction teams that say that's going to add multiple months of delay to the eventual reoccupancy.
Shankar Thuranav actually moved out a week before last year's fire. He now lives elsewhere in the neighborhood, close enough to hear the sirens here again. What did you think?
Oh, I don't want to live again in this building.
Yeah.
I don't want to come back.
I spoke to some other residents today who tell me they would like to get back inside their units to see what they can salvage from their old apartments. Others say even if they could move back next month, they're not sure they'd want to anymore. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, York police are trying to find a man who may have gotten lost with his young grandchildren. Police say 70-year-old Leo Eston was last seen in Newmarket with his two grandsons, aged 2 and 4, at around 3 o'clock this afternoon. He was driving a blue Pontiac Montana van with the license plate BVBP 364. Now, no foul play is suspected. However, police say that Eston is not familiar with the area and they're concerned that he may be lost. He's described as being a white 5'10" man weighing about 160 pounds with salt and pepper hair and a blue checkered shirt, khaki shorts and white shoes. Anyone who spots him is being asked to contact police. Well, a heartbreaking discovery in Oakville today. A woman found both her mother and her young daughter face down in the family pool. Police tried to revive the 79-year-old grandmother, but she died at the scene. Her 4-year-old granddaughter regained consciousness and was rushed to the hospital. She's now in critical condition. Police say the circumstances surrounding the incident are not suspicious. A 62-year-old woman is dead, another in serious condition after they were hit by a car today in the city's northwest end. It happened around noon. The women, both in their 60s, were crossing Finch near Jane when they were struck. The 27-year-old driver of the vehicle that hit them remained at the scene.
It appears that the two women were crossing from the north side here towards the south side of the roadway. I guess for all intents and purposes, it is an uncontrolled section of the roadway, and but that's definitely one of the pieces that we're hoping to get information from witnesses, just to piece it together.
Police are asking for witnesses or anyone with dash cam video to contact them. Well, politicians came out swinging today over Bombardier's job cuts in Thunder Bay.
And I've seen hide nor hair the federal government. All of a sudden, today they come out with a comment. They want to play politics.
Now, the company has said the layoffs are necessary because contracts for Metrolinx and TTC vehicles will be wrapped up this year. Meanwhile, workers are desperately hoping their jobs can still be saved. But ahead of a TTC board meeting today, the chair says they will be looking at another order as early as next year. Kelda Yuen has more.
Outside the Thunder Bay plant this morning, workers still hopeful.
The management seemed pretty positive. They're still working hard to try and get more work for us.
I hope that, they can hang on to as many people as long as they can.
But as it stands, in November, the 1,100 employee plant will be cut in half. This comes as the TTC awaits the delivery of 38 outstanding streetcars. TTC Chair Jay Robinson says the board is confident the vehicles will arrive as scheduled by the end of this year.
We've certainly had our challenges with this company in the past, but I will say that in the recent months, things have improved dramatically.
But prior to that, there were major issues, including repeated delays, resulting in a $50 million lawsuit in 2015, which was later settled. Then in 2018, 67 streetcars delivered by Bombardier needed to be sent back to the factory for repairs. Robinson says the TTC will probably be looking to make its next order of streetcars in 2020. When asked whether it would still consider Bombardier after all the problems.
I'm not sure what's going to happen in the future. I can't comment on that now. I'm not going to really comment on that because I think that's really up to the province of Ontario and the federal government to address.
Mayor John Tory says he is also looking to the other two levels of government.
I'm hopeful that aside from the sort of some war of words that happens elsewhere, that what we'll all focus on together is we need transit vehicles. People in Thunder Bay need jobs. The other two governments have money to help us buy the transit vehicles, and surely we can all sit down together and see if we can work out something.
But whether that will be with Bombardier remains to be seen.
We can't just do business with them because we feel badly about the workers. We care about that deeply, but we have to make sure they're going to deliver a quality product on time and on budget to us.
And it's not just the TTC. Metrolinx has also experienced delays with Bombardier. In February, the company failed to deliver the first batch of light rail vehicles for the Eglinton Crosstown by the deadline. Unifor, meanwhile, says it will push the government to sign new contracts with Bombardier in order to save jobs. Kelda Yuen, CBC News, Toronto.
The impending loss of those 550 jobs fired up politicians today at the Premier's conference in Saskatchewan. Doug Ford took aim at the federal government, saying infrastructure money could save those jobs. But the feds say the Conservative Premier has yet to come through with a workable transit plan, and that there's no one to blame but himself. At the Premier's gathering in Saskatoon, here's David Cochran.
The premiers all seem to be getting along at their meetings in Saskatoon, but it's a different story when it comes to Ottawa.
We aren't here to play politics like the federal government.
Another skirmish between Ontario's Doug Ford and the Trudeau government, this time over who is to blame for job losses at Bombardier.
And my message to the federal government is, we put our money where our mouth is. Where is their money? They have done absolutely nothing to support these people in Thunder Bay.
To hear the Premier of Ontario misleading Ontarians and, in fact, employees, 550 employees of Thunder Bay with such empty words.
It's a political blame game with hundreds of workers stuck in the middle. Ford says Ottawa has been slow to back his big money transit plan that would see the Thunder Bay plant building even more streetcars for Toronto.
What I heard from the president of Bombardier, if the federal government can get this deal signed, the $28.5 billion that we've been waiting for, they can rehire people.
But Ottawa says there's no deal to sign. Ford has made an announcement but hasn't sent a viable plan, even though there's federal money ready to flow.
There's been no application received at the federal government for concrete details about what they propose to do in terms of moving forward on transit in Toronto. There's been nothing but chaos, confusion, and paralyzation, quite frankly.
It's not surprising to see the federal Liberals attacking Doug Ford, as Ford's popularity has tanked in just his first year in office, and that unpopularity is dragging down the federal Conservatives, especially in key ridings in Ontario that could settle the upcoming federal election, which is just 103 days away. David Cochran, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Colin Kennedy is here with our first look at the weather. It has been so beautiful this week. Please tell me it's going to continue.
Yeah, we would love it to, wouldn't we? It's been such a nice run, and something had to come up, and it comes up tomorrow. And in fact, we have a slight chance overnight tonight of even seeing a few showers. But just let's have a look, first of all, what's going on in terms of this heat experienced by us. Well, southern Ontario and eastern Ontario, the extremes into the heat warning towards the nation's capital added in today as well because of those humidex values close to 40, but also the very warm overnight temperatures. Next system is coming in. As I say, a slight chance tonight for a few isolated showers, greater chance for southwestern Ontario. And then really it's on Thursday around the GTA where we start to get into some scattered showers and some heavier downpours possible with some thunderstorms. And then it's going to move back out and we get back into the very nice weather. Generally, we're looking at 5 to 10 millimeters of rain. A few areas, you could get some heavier downpours locally with some of those thunderstorms that will be embedded. Overnight tonight, though, 20 degrees with increasing cloudiness, 28 the high tomorrow, feeling like 37. What's to come for the weekend? I will have that forecast coming up. Magda.
Thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
Well, new video is raising questions tonight about a fatal crash in Brampton. It shows the truck pushing the car for nearly a kilometer. The car's driver still inside. That driver was an 88-year-old man from Brampton. He was killed in the crash. And as Greg Ross tells us, Peel police are trying to piece together exactly what happened.
It was a shocking sight for drivers on Highway 50 Tuesday morning. A dump truck plowing forward with the car on its front bumper.
Because I attend to more than 1,000 accidents, but I never seen something like this.
Sonny Subra is a tow operator for large trucks. He posted the video online after it was captured on a dash cam belonging to one of his colleagues. According to police, the driver of the car was heading southbound on Highway 50. He attempted to turn left here onto Langstaff Road, and police say that's when he was hit by the dump truck that was traveling northbound on Highway 50. Police say the dump truck traveled another 750 meters after the collision. Subra says even with all of the weight the dump truck was carrying, the driver should have been able to stop long before that. And he would know as the driver of a 30-ton tow truck.
You can stop it within 100 meters. It's easy. But it won't take 750 meters to stop a fully loaded dump truck.
Did it seem like he was slowing down in the video?
He's maybe step off the accelerator and then go in the same speed as he come in.
But there's no brake.
I don't see any braking. I don't see any hard braking on the dump truck. And only I see a smoke from the car tires. That's what smoke, and then a lot of noise from the car.
Peel police are investigating this collision in two parts. First and foremost, what caused the accident? Secondly, why did the driver of the tow truck, a 65-year-old Brampton man, continue driving?
So it's hard to say is what was going on in that driver's mind after the accident that would cause them not to stop right away. And obviously through their interview and their investigation, they would look into that to see if there is any wrongdoing there.
At this point, police have not laid any charges. Greg Ross, CBC News, Brampton.
It's one of the oldest, most popular landmarks in Toronto. St. Lawrence Market has stood for more than 100 years. Now the city is in the final stages of renovating the area. And coming up, why that is cause for concern for some of the market's vendors.
I am more concerned with the individual merchants as how the store looks like. To renovate the market, to bring more money and to make more money for the city, I have an issue with that.
And now to a major drug bust. Toronto police say they've arrested a group of drug traffickers operating in the GTA and Windsor. Police say they began their investigation weeks ago, and late last month, they executed a number of search warrants. They seized 6 loaded handguns, hundreds of rounds of ammunition, and drugs, including 24 kilos of powdered cocaine, fentanyl, and crack.
These drugs would have found their way to the streets of Toronto and the GTA and Windsor. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And these individuals would have made hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars out of the drugs that you see before you.
Police estimate the drugs' street value at more than $5 million. They also seized more than $500,000 in cash. 6 people from Toronto and Windsor are now facing a long list of charges. Investigators are still searching for 2 other suspects. Well, after years of talking about it, construction began this week in what used to be known as the north building of the St. Lawrence Market. While the work begins on the outside, new plans are being hatched for inside the south building across the street. As Daniel Clark explains, it's leaving some vendors worrying about the future.
It's been called the world's best food market. Fresh seafood, meats, and produce in a building that once served as Toronto's City Hall and jail. The St. Lawrence Market is getting a renovation. The city is in the final planning stages, and some current vendors are worried they'll be forced out.
From our perspective, we feel a little bit hesitant and concerned, of course, because there are interests.
Nancy Monona owns an organic shop in the lower level of the market and says businesses have been preparing to renegotiate their leases with the help of their tenant association. She fears the upcoming renovations will cause rents to rise.
But to renovate the market, to bring more money and to make more money for the city, I have an issue with that.
We haven't yet determined what the next steps are with the project and whether rent will be impacted or not.
Are you planning on offering any sort of temporary space or anything to the current tenants while the renovation is taking place?
Again, that would be part of our determination once we figure out if the project's going to move forward and what the next steps are, developing what the plan for tenants will be.
Some vendors say the market needs to evolve.
People don't come with horses and buggies anymore. The farmers are not the farmers like they used to be, so things have changed, so obviously so must we.
The reno could take years, and so far, the tenants are in the dark on timelines. As for the patrons,
what we can do is get an elevator that works well. That's because us old buggers can't get around it without it.
But there's so much changing. There's so little left of Toronto proper. Yeah, you know, it's nothing over 100 years old.
That building there was Toronto's old City Hall. It's been standing since 1845. Now, the city's proposal for downstairs is meant to create a space that is as open and inviting to visitors as this one. Daniel Clark, CBC News, Toronto.
They will be called upon to locate missing people, track down fleeing suspects, and search for evidence in a variety of locations and environments.
Nope, he's not talking about these police officers. He's talking about these ones. Peel got 2 new recruits today. We'll take you to Doggy Grad a little later in the show. Stick around.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Colette is back with another look at the weather. Everyone's looking ahead to the weekend, so what can they expect?
Yeah, let's get into that. So we can show you what's happening with this system moving through tomorrow in the showers, but we want to look ahead to some nice conditions, and that's what we're going to have. But overnight tonight, in the short term, changes with increasing cloudiness, a few isolated sprinkles, not out of the question. Scattered showers and a few thunderstorms rolling through into tomorrow, but the weekend outlook, that's a beach ball. Yeah, that may be the place to be, anywhere you can be in the water or somewhere where you can get a little bit of relief because we've got that warmth continuing. Daytime highs today, unofficially, you see some of the 30s that popped up and 29 towards Toronto. And a look at the outlook here, this is what's happening now out ahead of the system, a little bit of instability. You can kind of see that along that cloud deck there, and where we might have an isolated sprinkle through there, also that chance into southwestern Ontario overnight tonight, but then through the day tomorrow, really as we're going to see things starting to heat up and then that cold front approaching, ahead of that front is where we'd have the greater chance of seeing some thunderstorms rolling through. So you can see that line trying to develop into the late morning and afternoon hours, and that's why a few spots may see some heavier rain through the area, but otherwise it's that 5 to 10 millimeters we're talking about. This is 8 p.m. tomorrow, and we're going to find very little left, maybe a few residual sprinkles here and there, but primarily things will be clearing out. Winds turn towards the northwest behind that front, and really, we're not going to see that much of a change in the temperature for Friday. It may feel just a little bit more moderate in terms of the dew points dipping down a little bit with that northwesterly flow, but not a big change. So overnight tonight, your lows in southwestern Ontario, again, that heat warning in place, and it doesn't just have to do with having the daytime highs being so warm, but when you have overnight lows that are over 20 degrees. It doesn't give you much relief. Tomorrow afternoon, it looks like things will be primarily clearing out, but earlier in the day, the greater chance for some precipitation through the area. Tonight, slim chance for the GTA, 19 to 21 for the overnight lows with that increase in cloudiness. And then as that system comes through tomorrow, you'll see it's spotty at times. But yes, we're looking at some showers coming through in those highs in that range of 27 to 29. So for Toronto, high of 28 on Thursday. Friday, sunshine, 27. Saturday, as we look ahead to that weekend, we said we would. Well, it looks pretty good, but into the afternoon, evening hours, a bit of instability. So we could have a few scattered thunderstorms. Still not a bad weekend at all. And Sunday looking great with sunshine and 28 for the high.
All right. Thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
Heads up, there are some major road closures in place for the Honda Indy this weekend. Southbound Strawn Avenue is closed from Fleet Street to Lakeshore, and Lakeshore is shut down from Strawn Avenue to British Columbia Drive. All roads reopen 11 p.m. on Sunday. Peel police have a warning for the bad guys. 2 of their finest are now officially on the job.
They will bravely serve and protect the members of our service and our community with unwavering loyalty and courage. Carlo and Stark, I hereby pronounce you badge-carrying members of the Peel Regional Police Service. Go forth and make us proud.
Kylo and Stark are both 2-year-old Belgian shepherds. They got their badges today in a graduation ceremony. For 16 intense weeks, they were put through the PACES training in general service work, and that includes missing person searches and evidence tracking.
A canine officer, I would say, is probably one of the best jobs. Like I said, I get to take my partner home with me. My job is to play with the dog. We play catch, and then we play hide and seek professionally.
It's a full-time commitment for the dog's handlers. They have to take the pups home and constantly train with the animals. And that's our show for tonight. Thanks for watching. You can get caught up on local news anytime on our website, cbcnews.ca/Toronto. Have a great night.